Morning, pockets are clean. Will you tell me something, Mr. Lumberjack? Is it 1 for forward and 3 for back? Is it 2 for stopper, 4 for blue? Boy, ask a whistle pump. I don't know. This here's the dub. We about to go a hunting bear. Well, we rolled up Interstate 44 like a rocket sled on rails. Getting smart. They brought out some reinforcements from the Illinois lands. Yeah, them chicken coops was full of bears and choppers filled the skies. Well, we shot the line, we went for broke with 1,000.
Again, we're going to start at 9:15, but until then, canned food donations can go under the Oregon Ducks tent near the middle of the parking area here. We're collecting signatures to repeal the Oregon sales tax and stop freeway tolls at the front of the stairs. And there's also free water and pop over by the green flags. So again, 9:15, we'll get this rally started. Thank you. Good morning. I want to welcome you all to the rally today to oppose House Bill 2020, the Cap and Trade Bill. Thank you for being here today. I know some of you drove just down the road, but I know that a lot of you drove over 250 miles just to get here today. With tractors and trucks going down our roads, we've gotten texts all morning of seeing all this equipment, and it is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up. We're going to start our program today with the Pledge of Allegiance.
This flag we're showing right now, it's in rough shape. It'll be the shape of rural Oregon if a bill like this was to pass. I feel honored to start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we are showing up to speak up. We are loggers, farmers, ranchers, truckers, dairymen, fishermen, nurserymen, salesmen, fieldmen. The list goes on and on, but at the end of the day, we are all hard-working Oregonians. Showing up today means you are against this bill, and you are against legislation that targets rural Oregon. You are against unfair and badly partisan legislation. I know for a fact that we all had way better things to do today. But I know that because you're here, you understand just how important this is. We're here to stand for standing up. The success against this bad legislation would not be possible without the grassroots effort that you all are showing and our 11 senators who walked away from a policy that would cripple rural Oregonians. They stood up for us. They gave rural Oregonians and working families a voice in the cap and trade debate, and we truly thank them for their courage and their wherewithal. But while today looks like a win, we need to always keep fighting for rural Oregonians. Today we're going to hear from a few folks who have felt, or who would have felt, the real impacts of House Bill 2020. At 9:30, House Representatives will also join us. I want to note that at 10 o'clock, 10:15-ish maybe, depending on how the program goes, we need all drivers of equipment for the convoy to go back to the fairgrounds, grab your equipment, because we are going to storm this Capitol with equipment. I want to ask that we be impactful today and we be respectful, that we leave this area cleaner than when we arrived. Our first speaker today is Marie Bowers. She is a fifth-generation grass seed farmer in Lynn and Lane counties. Let's welcome Marie Bowers.
Wow, this is awesome. Thanks for being here, everyone. As Brenda said, I'm a fifth-generation farmer in Lynn and Lane counties, and my family's been taking care of the land for over 100 years. And I am very proud of that, as I'm sure many of you Oregonians out there can feel the same. I know it's a sacrifice to take the day off work, but we are making a difference. As of right now, we are being told that House Bill 2020, cap and trade, is dead. Personally, until Siney died, it's not dead. And I think you all know that, or else you wouldn't be here today. Thank you to everyone who's attended all 3 rallies. I wish I could have done the last 2. Thank you to Timber Unity for keeping this momentum going. I also have to say thanks to Mother Nature today, because if it was sun shining and 80 degrees, I wouldn't be here. I'd be out on the combine. But Mother Nature knew the farmers needed to show up with their timber brothers and sisters. I first came to the Capitol in 2nd grade with my dad when he came to testify on a bill that would harm farming. It seems like all they do in this building is keep thinking of bills that would harm farming and forestry. They use the line, "We just need to do this one thing to save the latest buzzword topic." But yet, that's not 100% truthful. The more Portland legislators get elected, the more they push anti-farming and anti-forestry agendas. I've started calling this place the Portland Legislature. The Portland Legislature has passed their bad ideas and agenda too far this session. I had enough, and clearly you all have as well. Thank goodness for the Oregon 11 who left the Senate without a quorum. this session was House Bill 2020, cap and trade, or tax and scam as I call it. They were going to stop climate change by sacrificing hard-working Oregonians like you and me. However, they know this will have little to no effect on the climate. I have read the bill, I have testified on the bill, I have watched their hearings, and none of it is good. The bill openly admits it will create job loss. But don't worry, the money they raise from selling these so-called carbon credits will be used to help retrain you. No offense, I don't see a lot of Starbucks baristas in the crowd. Here's what we know about House Bill 2020. It'll raise our energy and fuel prices at least 22 cents a gallon in the first year. It will cause job loss. It'll create a whole huge new state agency with little accountability and oversight, only by whoever is governor, and we see how the foster system's going. It'll do nothing to change Oregon's carbon footprint. Here's what I don't get. Those of us who make our living from the land are the best environmental stewards Oregon has got. We literally take carbon and make it into useful products like food and toilet paper. But yet somehow we are the bad guys. I would even argue those who work outside are more in touch with the climate than those trying to legislate the climate. Portland thinks they love Oregon more than we do, but they are wrong. We are here because we love Oregon, and we know what is best for our families and our communities. We do not need the Portland legislature telling us how to live or even where to live. We thank the 11 Oregon senators who took a stand for rural Oregon. We have their back today. But here's the thing, they need our continued support through November 2020 because we all know their proponents are not going to quit pushing their Portland agenda. They will come back in February and try it all over again. Are we going to let that happen? No! Are we going to continue to take a stand for rural Oregon and push back against the Portland legislature? Yeah! I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight like hell and make sure we are not snuffed out. I'll be with you. Let's keep this momentum going.
Our next speaker hardly needs an introduction. I would like to welcome Andrew Miller, CEO of Stimson Lumber.
Well, thank you all for coming out today. I'm kind of a reluctant public speaker, so I'll do my best. First of all, just thanks to all of you for standing up for yourself, for your families, for your communities. Too infrequently, the people that work in the building behind us see you, hear from you. They mainly hear from lobbyists, and as our previous speaker said, they primarily hear from interest groups in the Portland area who are trying to create a very difficult life for rural Oregon with their urban-centric policies and legislation. So thank you for coming out to be heard. It's a wonderful country we live in that we can do this. Please be respectful of others, and as somebody said earlier, leave your campground cleaner than you found it. You know, I find the whole cap and trade thing really ironic. Here we have people in this building behind us, and many of them representing an urban view of the world, who want to do something about climate and protect our beautiful God-given earth. And the policies they pass are going to be most harmful to people like you who know everything about this earth. You make your living on the land and in the forest. Who better takes care of this earth than you all do? And yet the policies that are being passed in the legislature are going to disproportionately harm you, your communities, and your families. And that's just plain bad policy, and it needs to stop. This legislation may be dead for the moment, but it's going to come back to life assuredly in 2020. So I really encourage you to be ready and to be willing to come back here again, because the people that are behind 2020 are committed to it, and you just need to be here and let them know that this is going to be harmful to you and to your communities and to your livelihoods, and it's simply bad policy. I think it's ironic that the authors of this bill and many of the proponents of this bill publicly acknowledge it will have no impact on our climate, yet it's going to impose huge costs on rural Oregon. That's just simply bad policy. And I would love for Governor Brown to come out here and address all of you today and explain to you how this policy is going to benefit you and is going to benefit the global climate, because it's not, and they admit it's not. Yet they're intent on jamming this through and getting their way, and we're in rural Oregon are going to pay the price. And that's just poor leadership. It's a failure of leadership, and it's bad policy. We all care about the earth we live on. We all care about our climate. I don't think there's a group of citizens that are more committed to taking care of the land. We've been doing it for generations after generations. It provides the food we live, or the food we eat, and it provides the wood products that build the homes we live in. So I think we know best, and it's just unfortunate that they don't want to listen to common sense and practical ideas in the building behind us. Just a couple of comments about two people in particular I think you should all be aware of, because it's wonderful that you're here speaking up, showing up today, but you have to remember your vote counts too. And next year's an election year. So the Representative Paul Evans, who represents this area around Salem, who branded all of us terrorists for showing up and speaking our minds today. You know, we're not terrorists. We love Oregon, and it's just shameful that you would brand people that are trying to stick up for their livelihoods in such a way. So remember Representative Evans next year if you live in this community. And the other is Senator Manning from the Eugene area, who publicly on this floor not too many weeks ago pretty much told businesses that don't like the business activity tax, don't like cap and trade, well, you know, just get on out of Oregon. There are going to be people that fill in behind you. And you know what, Senator, we love Oregon. We've been here for generations. We want to continue to prosper here. Why are you intent on passing legislation that is forcing us out of business, that is forcing us to leave the state? Come out here and explain us your policies to this group here and why it is good for them. So I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, and please try and maintain the energy. The folks in this building need to hear from you loud and clear, and this is a battle that's going to go on, I think, for years in the future. So thank you for making your voices heard.
I would now like to introduce House Republican leader, Representative Carl Wilson.
Good morning. Wonderful to see all of you here today. I'm Carl Wilson, House Republican leader. I'm here with a bunch of my friends from the House of Representatives, Republicans, who really care about what's going on today and are mighty impressed by a group of great Americans here giving up a day's wages to be out here supporting the senators today. Thank you for that. I'm not going to take much of your time here, but just let me say this. I got involved in politics very late in life. I just wasn't really interested in that. I'm a radio guy by trade. I did the morning show. You know, the guy that you wake up to in the morning? That was me for years, 30 years. That's what I do. And that's the way I've always seen myself. Just a working guy, waking people up, trying to make a living. The reason I mention that is because that's probably the same creed that you live by too. And that is, you're getting up early, you're working hard, you're staying out there late, all kinds of weather. You're doing it for your family, you're doing it for your community, God and country. Well, let me tell you, that's not enough anymore. It doesn't work that way. There are people that have a greatly different vision about how Oregon should look, that differs greatly from how you think it should look. Their vision is going to take away your jobs. It already has, and it will. I'm from Spotted Owl Country, Josephine County, Grants Pass. I know the way it works down there. And I know what we've gone through ever since the spotted owl thing. And we don't ever want to go back there again, do we?
No!
Never. That's why 2020 had to be stopped. And I thank our senators for doing this. You know, we fought this, both chambers fought this in different ways. It became very obvious in the way that we were fighting it as House Republicans that when we asked that this bill be amended greatly, the Democrats 13-8 in Ways and Means said no. It became obvious that they were not serious about real change on this. As a result, our senators took a look at that, and you know what they did. So again, fight for that lifestyle, fight for the family, fight for your jobs. Bills like 2020 have your jobs right in the crosshairs. You've learned how to resist. I trust you'll continue with that as we go forward. Thank you very much. I want to hand it off to one of my colleagues, David Brock Smith, Port Orford, Republican House member. He knows all about 2020. He was vice chair of the Carbon Committee. David Brock Smith, please.
Well, I have to tell you, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen at the Oregon State Capitol. I can't thank you so much for being here today. Give yourself a round of applause. You know, I pulled into the Capitol garage this morning and I took a picture because it was quite empty, because when rural Oregon comes to the state capitol, the Democrats decided to take a day off today. And that's just quite unfortunate, because as we are here in the building and so many advocates come down from Portland to advocate for various issues, yet when rural Oregon and southern Oregon and our rural Oregonians come to advocate for their livelihood, the Democrats decide not to show up for work. And yet the hypocrisy of the senators that are out of this state to save rural Oregon and the industries that built our communities and are meant to sustain them are getting hammered by the left media and the advocates for House Bill 2020 is just astounding. And so I can't thank those senators enough for utilizing the tools that they have in the toolbox for our rural Oregonian families and the communities that they represent. And they are doing their jobs. Today, they've been doing their jobs ever since they came into this building in the beginning of the session. We all have. And I can't thank you enough for the advocacy that you have shown today. If you look on top of this building, there's a gold man, and he's carrying an axe. Rural Oregon built this state. Rural Oregon continues to supply the needed materials for the urban areas to survive and grow. And they need to be reminded from time to time. And like I said today, this is the most stunning thing I've ever seen, and you're reminding them right now. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so sorry. And I am, it's a pleasure for me to introduce my colleague on the Joint Committee on Carbon Reduction, a trucker herself, and one of the largest advocates for all of you out there, Representative Shelley Bossart Davis.
All I can say is, wow. Holy cow. People have been saying for a couple days, hey, there's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be a lot of people. And about 4:30 a.m. I started getting texts like video, text, live events of the trucks, of the tractors coming from everywhere. We have people that are texting me pictures and videos, and I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Come to Salem. And I think about it, and somebody said to me, I don't know if Salem was built for this. I guess we're finding out. So I'm a representative from the Albany area, but today is what I'd rather wear any day of the week. Because growing up in a truck shop, growing up on the farm, my favorite title is Daughter of a Trucker. And I have a couple sayings, and one's right on that truck. If you bought it, a truck brought it. For you guys to show up, and we talk about the rural-urban divide, but I also want to say the stuff that's happening in this building, it's harmful for all Oregonians. Whether you live in Vernonia, or Klamath Falls, or Gresham, this stuff that we're passing is bad for every Oregonian. And so where people are listening, they're listening on the news or Facebook Live, everybody needs to pay attention. Whether you're wearing boots or whether you're wearing heels, you need to stand up and pay attention to what's going on in Salem, because we need to continue to make Oregon affordable so that we can continue to live here. Rep. Brock Smith mentioned the gold statue up there, the pioneer carrying an axe. On the house floor, the carpet is made as pictures of the Douglas fir tree. Everywhere you go inside that building is a reminder of how this state was built. And I never forget that, every single day. You guys showing up puts a face onto what we fight for every single day. So I can't thank you enough for being here. You guys are making my job easier because you guys are standing up and saying it's time. Do not make this state unaffordable. This state is not for the wealthy elite. This state is for everybody in every town across Oregon. Come on, let him go. You know, I personally would love to have a beer in some saloon in some small town with any of y'all. Thank you guys. That was awesome. We really appreciate all the work that they're doing down here every day. Our next speaker is a farmer from Sisters. He raises hay, cattle, and industrial hemp. Can you join me in welcoming Matt Cyrus?
Say, I'm not sure how to follow up with what we just did, but wow, all I can say is it's incredible to see so many people out here. I'd certainly, as she said, my name is Matt Cyrus. I'm president of the Deschutes County Farm Bureau as well as the Oregon Family Farm Association, and we'd like to express our appreciation to Timber Unity and those folks for putting this stuff together, and everybody that shows up today. It shows what happens when you wake up rural Oregon and what we can do. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing the turnout. All the equipment, the tractors. I've got a lowboy and a dozer I thought about bringing today, but I wasn't sure where I was going to park it. But it's absolutely amazing. And if we can keep this momentum going, you know, it's interesting. It's the fact that it's House Bill 2020. 2020 is the year that we can take back this state. In the last several elections, there were enough undervotes in rural Oregon to have changed the face of this state, changed our governor, changed a lot of our representatives and senators. If rural Oregon just gets out and votes, we can make a difference. And so I would ask that everybody here keep the momentum going, get involved, let's recruit good candidates, let's get them elected, and let's turn this state around. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, our next speaker is a former Army National Guard specialist, Alex Scarlettos. He helped stop a terrorist attack in 2015 in Paris, so you may have heard his name around. But he is now an advocate for the timber industry. Help me in welcoming Alex.
Thank you. It's so good to see this many Oregonians stand up for what they believe in. You know Democrats did something wrong when this many people with real jobs take a day off to come protest the out-of-control legislature. So thank you. And thank you to the Oregon 11 for calling our attention to what's going on and buying us time to mobilize and allowing our voices to be heard. Now Salem knows they cannot build their liberal utopias on the backs and tax dollars of rural Oregonians. First they came for the timber industry, now they're coming for the trucking industry, and it seems like they won't quit until we're all homeless living on the streets of Portland. Just because Democrats have a supermajority does not mean they can persecute the parts of the state that aren't their voting base. I believe we should use this amazing rally to remind them that we won't stand for it anymore and that this is a turning point for Oregon politics. We will not take it lying down any longer, and we will fight for what we believe in. This is only the beginning. We will follow through on our words. We will stand up and be heard when our state senators tell us that Salem is up to no good. And we will elect politicians with common sense. Next time it won't be the Oregon 11, it'll be the Oregon 12, 13, 16, with all of us behind them. Today, Oregon gets her voice back. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Lauren Hutnick. He's with H&H. He's been a heavy hauler for 35 years and from Eagle Creek, Oregon. Join me in welcoming Lauren.
Well, we got a beautiful day. I mean, isn't this the way Oregon does it? Just keep in mind one thing. This is Oregon, not California. And both of those bills are spawned of California. This all started out with a couple guys getting together, Jeff, Scott, Adam. We all got together and we were tired about this. Timber Unity came around, and it spawned from a little seed amongst 5 guys to what you see here today. And this is the way Oregon does it, and I'm proud of every one of you guys for showing up. As for that, Timber Unity has grown, and it's grown so big. The last estimate I had was damn near 35,000 members to it. And I can tell you right now, there's more going on than what you guys see. But us, the timber industry, vocational, I mean, the trucks that I've seen here, I've seen them come from all the way across. We're watching them now. And they're on notice. We are watching you, and you step out of line, this is what happens. You pissed us off. At the end of the day there, I really would like to have Senator James Manning come down here and tell us, if you don't like it, leave. Where is he? He ain't here. He's hiding in his office, or he might not even be at the Capitol today. But he shot his mouth off, and that pissed us off. Representative Evans called us terrorists. Hold on. Let's be nice about this. We're the professionals. Apparently they forgot about how to be professional. But are we destroying anything? No. Are we tearing anything up? No. Again, how are we terrorists? No. We are the stewards of the land. We are the ones that make a living from the land and replant the land. They don't understand that. And then there's our favorite, Senate President Peter Courtney. In a rally that we had down here, a lot of us stood here on this upper podium, and Peter Senator Peter Courtney stand down there and said, hey, you don't like it? You guys are gonna have to sell your property, move into the city, get jobs in the city because this is coming. Is that really right for him to tell us? Because that just told us that he was gonna cram this down our throats. And is that the way Oregon works? No! Okay, I believe you. At the end of the day, Timber Unity is going to start watching these people. And we are done with this. And this is why the 11th, and I have been in contact, and I promised them one thing. I promised Senator Herman Sugar, as much as I beat that one up, that if we had to come back here and we were pissed off enough, I would fill the rotunda room, both sides of that staircases and the balcony and the bottom floor. Well, at this point in time, I think we can do it. So let's stand fast, allow those guys to do our job that we sent them there for. And I know for a fact every one of them is tickled pink that you guys are supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Our next speaker today is Sheriff John Hanlon from Douglas County. Welcome, Sheriff.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Hanlon. I'm the Sheriff of Douglas County. I've been Sheriff in Douglas County for 11 years and with the Sheriff's Office for over 30 years this November. I was asked to come speak today on behalf of Senator Dallas Hurd. He called me a couple of days ago. Dallas told me for some reason he couldn't make it here today. And he asked if I would come and share some words on his behalf. I'm still waiting for his words, so the ones I'm about to share are my own words, and I apologize in advance for that. I'm a third-generation Oregonian from Douglas County. My great-grandparents were farmers, my grandparents were farmers and ranchers, and my father was a forester. I was raised around the timber industry. I am here today because I support the walkout that 11 of our Republican senators have been forced to do in a last-ditch effort to save the livelihood of rural Oregonians. The passage of Senate Bill 2020 would be detrimental to those of us living and working in southern and eastern Oregon. Douglas County was once known as the timber capital of the world. Douglas fir trees grow in western Oregon like nowhere else in the world. They grow fast and they grow healthy. And they are a tremendous renewable resource that can make this state wealthy again. However, Senate Bill 2020 guarantees that that will never happen. Douglas County was once one of the richest counties in the nation. There were living wage jobs in every community across southern Oregon due to the booming timber industry. Again, Senate Bill 2020 guarantees that will never return. We didn't have an unemployment problem. We didn't have high crime rates. We didn't have drug addiction problems. We didn't have transient problems. We didn't have funding problems for our schools, our libraries, our parks, and our fire and police departments. But Senate Bill 2020 does nothing to help us resolve these problems. I've been asked on several occasions to come testify to the state legislature on several issues. It's typically on topics involving changes in law that affect things like our Second Amendment rights or other issues that would affect law enforcement. Being a third-generation Oregonian and having served in a position of public service for over 30 years, I feel I have earned the right to say this. The state of Oregon is a mess. Our own state government is destroying us. The state legislature has introduced bills that have infringed on our Second Amendment rights, introduced bills to legalize marijuana, and decriminalize dangerous street drugs. They've introduced bills that make law-abiding citizens criminals if they fail to conduct background checks on someone. And they've enacted laws that force sheriffs to release criminals from jails. In many cases, our state agencies are failing us. Management, the failure of management of these state agencies is all around us. The management of our state forests, the management of our Department of Human Services, the management of our Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the list goes on and on. This state was built on the timber industry, the fishing industry, farming, ranching, construction, and numerous other blue-collar industries and corporations, not on coffee baristas and marijuana dispensaries. Years ago, my dad told me not to follow in his footsteps as a forester. He saw that the industry was on its way to extinction. Over the years, I watched mills and logging companies shut down one by one, often displacing hundreds of employees from the community, causing families to move and other businesses to have to leave. My county is now nearly broke, all because of the listing of endangered species that aren't really endangered, because of unreasonable environmental lawsuits, and quite honestly, downright bad state and federal policies. We in rural Oregon are done asking. We are done trying to negotiate a deal to simply provide for our own livelihoods. It's time we take it back and go to work. It's now my privilege and honor to introduce to you Douglas County Commissioner Chris Boyce.
Thank you. I'm Douglas County Commissioner Chris Boyce. Sheriff Hamlin's always a tough act to follow. So what he mentioned, though, is true. It's my job as a county commissioner to prioritize the dollars that we have that give him the ability to do his job. And since 2012 in Douglas County, we've been spending down reserves. Some of the neighboring counties in our neighborhood are already spent down their reserves. Their reserves are empty. And quite simply, rural Oregon just cannot afford to take another blow to our economy that this bill would deliver. I got up this morning at 4 o'clock to make sure that I was on a log truck to ride north at 4:30. And what I realized is that the guys that I was riding with got to sleep in this morning. So you guys are the hard-working workers of rural Oregon that get up long before 4 in the morning typically in order to go about your day and make sure that these folks that are trying to shove this bill down our throat have what they need. And I can't tell you enough how thankful I am for you to be here. I imagined that it would be this big. I think it's bigger than I imagined. I know there's still people coming in. I saw a tremendous amount of support here from Douglas County this morning. So if you're here from Douglas County, thank you for making it a priority to be here. I know that it's costing you money to be here. Give me a shout out from Douglas County. Nice. So thanks again, everyone. Keep this up. I want you all to raise a hard hat to the Oregon 11. For those folks who say that they're not doing their jobs, they're doing exactly what I need them to do right now and what you need them to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is going to be Mike Peel, a logger from Vernonia that I'm sure you've heard a lot about in recent days.
I just feel very honored to be here, and it's amazing how many busy people took time out of their day. I mean, we all have jobs. We're the backbone of Oregon. We're the people who make it happen. We produce the commodity. Thank you for being here. So I have read this bill 11 times. and I still don't understand it. It's 98 pages. And basically what we already have, we have carbon-eating machines out there already, Douglas fir trees, eating carbon for free. For free. And they're being logged, they're being managed, and basically it would just close the forest off to us. And they're worried about carbon. It'll be a repeat of the federal forest. They'll be shut down. I give it 4 or 5 years. They'll put the roads to bed. They'll be on fire. There'll be nobody to put the fires out. And they really don't want to put the fires out anyhow. And then they talk about, like the federal forest, well, it's going to cost us this much per acre to make it fire safe and thin. So we're thinning a patch right now. The landowner is receiving about $4,200 an acre for us to make it fire safe. Nobody else except for the government would pay to have a thinning job done. So why on earth did they even bring this bill up? Yes, is there an issue going on with climate change? Does it need to be addressed? Yes, this is not the right way. Maybe they should introduce a House bill that says, quit buying quite so much from China. Also, a week ago yesterday, I got invited into Kate Brown's office. We had a half-hour-long sit-down meeting behind her closed door. You never want to get anybody on the defensive, so I just started talking, like probably everybody else did here. I started picking strawberries at 6 years old, when you can still do that legally. Started hauling hay, worked at dairy farms. When I was 15, I paid cash for my own tractor. By the time I graduated from high school, I had all my implements. I had my own combine. I was president of Future Farmers of America. And that's the same story of almost everybody here. So she sat and listened. Whether I got anywhere, I really don't know. But we shook hands when we were done. And all I can say is I still have hope for rural Oregon, and I'm just very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Our last speaker today is Tiffany Harper. She is a 5th-generation timber owner and hazelnut farmer from Junction City, and she's also the Lane County Farm Bureau president. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Tiffany Harper Monroe, and I'd like to thank our previous speakers for talking about the negative implications of this bill and poor legislation. But I'm going to conclude with just how important you are and how important the value systems are that we stand upon. From the book of Genesis, God created humans in His image and called them to take care of all that He created. Now, whether you are a person of faith or perhaps lack thereof, there is an undeniable obligation and noble calling of humanity to protect and preserve beautiful landscapes and promote economic viability for our communities that is supported by the foundation of land and natural resources stewardship. As I look around the Capitol steps, I see fathers, mothers, sisters, and brothers who have dedicated their lives and perhaps generations of lives to the most noble of causes, to steward our natural world through farming, ranching, and forestry. I too have dedicated my life to these efforts. I come from 2 farming families. My mother's family farms in Kenya, Africa, and my father's family in Junction City also farms, which I am a part of the 5th generation and 4th generation woodland manager. My husband, who is working right now because it's not raining in Junction City, and I are expecting a baby boy, the 6th generation of our family farm. As a 3rd generation Farm Bureau member and current Lane County Farm Bureau president, I applaud your grassroots efforts to create a voice and demand of a well-deserved representation in our state. As naturally introverted, humble, and hardworking people, Telling our story does not come naturally. But now more than ever, we must magnify our voices and support each other and sing our praises as we share our contributions to this natural world. My family farm was established in Lane County in 1893, and with each new generation, those before have passed down these values of stewardship and love of the land that I too will pass down to my child. With the advancement of knowledge and land management techniques, we continue to evolve and adjust our management practices to sustain small family business, provide jobs in our community, and decrease our ecological footprint on the planet. We happily comply with hundreds of state and federal regulations, which you all know very well, receive certifications, practice soil, water, and natural resources conservation, and that is just the beginning. As land managers, we are observant of patterns in our fields. Our chemists, mechanics, meteorologists, and scientists, and we all rely on sound research from industry and land-grant institutions like Oregon State University to ensure that Oregon remains sustainable and economically viable. My grandfather said, "Our legacy and way of life is not done for ourselves. We must manage the land and the planet for the future, even though we will never see the benefits." This is our legacy and way of life on Harper Farms. And I know that despite what our neighbors and some of our legislators might say, these selfless values hold true for each and every one of you. Today, I ask that we remain kind and steadfast in our efforts to tell our story and share our contributions to the natural world with our communities and legislators. Please continue to organize, make history, and work together so that farming, ranching, and forestry has a bright future in Oregon. Thank you.
Thank you again to everybody who's here today. We really appreciate it. This effort could not have been done without you guys. Let's take this momentum. We need to change everything at the next election and get rid of this unbalanced supermajority. This is only the beginning of rural Oregon standing up. Thank you, everybody. Please, you're encouraged to go in the building, visit your legislators and staff, be respectful and be impactful. Leave this place cleaner than when you got here. Drivers of the convoy vehicles can please go take buses back to the fairgrounds. Hang out, there's free sack lunches and pop and water under the green flags. There is food donations under the Oregon tent up there, and back here on the stairs is where you can sign all the petitions. I have a message from Dallas. Sorry, if you guys could hold tight for a second. Senator Hurd has something that we need to, yeah.
I just got word from a person I know that the White House is watching what we're doing in Oregon.
Hello. I wasn't planning on this, and I'm not a great reader, but my son is Dallas Hurd, the senator. And he said something for us, some words. Words truly cannot describe how I'm feeling about all of you that have decided to make a very real sacrifice and come to Salem today. This is the beginning of something very special, and I want you all to know that my only regret from the last 7 days is that I can't be there with you to look out over the sea of freedom fighters that you all are. There are hundreds of you here today, and I have never met most of you, but I know all of you because I am, and I know all of you because I am you. I was born and raised in Douglas County, and I've watched us from the absolute mecca of the timber production and wealth to just barely hanging on at times. You are the people I have grown up and idolizing. You are the people who rise as early as 3 a.m. to go to work to provide future for your family and communities. You are the mothers, the fathers, brothers, sisters, children of some of the most amazing people on earth that has to offer, and you all have been awakened. You are realizing who you are, what you are capable of, and what must be done if you are going to return to the days of true prosperity for all of Oregon. The supermajority and its governor must be shown that their time of domination and infringement upon our rights and values is coming to an abrupt end. This is not a Republican or a Democratic problem. It's a human problem. We as humans are inherently flawed when it comes to having too much power for too long. We need to fight for sweeping correction in the balance of influence in our state government. There can be no true peace when an overbearing majority is allowed to inflict its will with such unchecked rage over a minority of people it is sought to oppress. We must rise up as a community of working class Oregonians and make our voices heard every single election from today until our final breath. I want you to look around for a moment and drink in what is before you. Every great building, every great interstate, every person standing next to you was born and built by the greatest generation. We owe them a debt for our freedoms and our prosperity. We owe them our very best. We owe them the reassurance, whether they are looking down from heaven or standing side by side with you today, that we will stand and defend our freedom no matter what is demanded of us to accomplish what is the most noble of tasks. I would ask you to take a moment, this feeling, and never let it leave you, because if you can't do that, we will win. If you can do that, we will win. My father heard the great Steve Prefontaine sometimes once that inspires me, and every day and time I run up against a giant like the Democratic supermajorities. Steve said, if the race comes down to guts, I will win, always. That is true. Steve told me that personally. You and I are the kind of people, because we are the descendants of the greatest generation. And we will walk through the heaven's gate someday and smile when they look on our eyes, because we beat back the oppression. We didn't give up, and we protected freedom for the next generations of Oregon. Oregon is our mother. Fight for her. May God bless you all. Yeah. Senator Dallas Harris.
There's still trucks rolling in. If everyone wants to go get their equipment and just keep roaring around the Capitol, we really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it today.
Like it. I was hoping this was going to be this many people there the first time. Remember? Yeah. The four of us walked up, and there's Jeff standing right there. Boy, am I glad to see you guys. Yep. Well, we got to get our rural people out to vote. I know lots of my friends don't vote, you know. And I preach to them. It's good to see you. Anyway, you know you walk away from me.
Because they were playing at Convoy, Smokey and the